Okay, to start this project off, we're going to go ahead and cover up some holes that were for the original rear AC and heater unit. Okay, so we moved that system to make more room for all the camping gear. The fresh water jug will actually end up going in this location. So we're going to use a piece of cardboard to make a template, and then we'll transfer that over to a piece of sheet metal and go ahead and cut that out. Once we got that piece cut out, we're going to go ahead and grind off all the paint, make sure the edges are nice and clean for welding. We'll do the same thing with the interior sheet metal, and then we'll just do a bunch of tacks all the way around just to seal it off so there's no moisture getting in or out. Okay, so now that we got the welds a little bit cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and start on the mount for the gray water tank that mounts underneath the vehicle. Now I went through and used a piece of welding rod, just kind of mapped out what I wanted the bends to be like. This is 1 inch by 1/8 inch flat stock, so it should be adequate to hold up a 5-gallon jug. And like I said, we're using a template, just kind of going off of that. So here's the actual gray water tank in place. What I did is just kind of stuff some pieces of wood up underneath the exhaust pipe, or in between the exhaust pipe and the gray water tank. Just hold it in place, secure it, pulled out our bracket, figured out where I wanted to put a bolt. I just welded 2 bolts, one to the bottom of the frame, one to the inside of the fender well, and that's actually where everything will mount up. You can see here, I double-sided some insulation to the bottom of the Suburban. This will go in between that and the top of the gray water tank. This is just going to help with vibration, hopefully keep down on wear so it's not tearing up the plastic tank. Now we're going to go ahead and mark and drill a hole for the drain tube that goes from the sink to the gray water tank. Be sure and deburr this real good, go a little bit oversized. And then we're going to put some black rubber hose on the inside of this as like a grommet so it doesn't tear up that line. This is the gray water tank that will be mounted underneath the vehicle. I'm just wrapping it with Dynamat so if any rocks or anything kicks up against it, it's not going to puncture it, or help with anyway. And this should help out with heat. It runs right above the rear exhaust pipe, so it shouldn't get too hot, but I wanted to help out a little bit. The actual drain line that comes from the sink to the gray water tank, it won't be under pressure, so I'm not real concerned with it leaking, and it's going to be outside the vehicle anyway. So I went ahead and just drilled a hole, put some rubber hose around on the inside, silicone, and then put some silicone around the outside of the hose itself, kind of stuck it through there, let all that set up, and then we're going to go ahead with some JD block weld. They have a plumber's tape, and it starts out as like a clay 2-part. You mix it together like an epoxy, and then it hardens up, and it's pretty well nice, good sealant, and you can do it underwater and that kind of stuff too. I made a little piece of plywood to fit into the location and then drilled 2 holes in it. We'll just put some sheet metal screws down into the floorboard of the Suburban. This is where the fresh water tank will sit. We're just going to use 2 eye bolts. I drilled 2 holes through the floorboard, mounted 2 eye bolts, and then we'll use a bungee cord to actually hold that tank in place. For the propane tank mount, we got this in location where I thought it would fit nicely. I drilled a hole, mounted a flange bolt inside of that, and then welded it into place. For the freshwater supply tube, what I did is I took the original valve that came with the jug, I cut off the top, and now I'm just going to adapt it to where I believe this is a 3/8 clear line fit down inside of there. I used a piece of aluminum welding rod on either side of that just to keep it rigid, pointing down towards the bottom, and then we're just going to silicone all that in place. For the mounting of the water pump, I just set this in location, and there's 4 bolts that hold it in place. Just mark those 4 holes, drill them out, and then put some sheet metal screws in there. I went ahead and put some RTV silicone on the inside of the mounts just to try and keep it in place a little better in case those sheet metal screws come loose.